So mine is the comfort blanket. I don't know about you, but when I grew up, I had a favorite blanket. I think a lot of times as kids, we have a favorite stuffed animal, a favorite toy that we just cannot leave home without it. And mine was a white, pure white with clouds on it. And I took it everywhere. And when I was 8 years old, I was raped by two men when I was living in Georgia. And what happened right afterwards is I ran to my room. It was bunk beds. So after the situation took place, I ran up, I climbed to the top bunk because that was my bunk, and I pulled my blanket over my face. And what I did was I took myself somewhere else entirely. Being that young, being 8 years old, I couldn't comprehend what just happened. Not only the emotional confusion, the trauma that took place, but also the physical trauma that takes place from something like that happening. And I put my blanket over my head, and it was midday, and the light was coming through. And I pictured myself just somewhere else with angels. Just took myself completely outside of what my body was physically feeling emotionally and physically, and took myself someplace else. Now, what that did for me, to me, long term, was started a pattern of behavior. So the pattern of traumatic experience happening, running somewhere else, and finding something to pull over my eyes so I don't have to address or deal with what happened. And as I got older, the blanket changed. It wasn't sufficient enough to handle the pain and the anxiety that I felt dealing with different types of trauma that took place at different stages of life. So instead of a blanket, I went to drugs and alcohol, was kind of my ticket. And I engrossed myself in that culture with unhealthy people and relationships to numb the pain of my childhood. And what that eventually did, it got me arrested. I don't know if you've been in trouble with the law. I have several times. I was arrested twice when I was 18, but the final caveat was my third DUI at 25. And it was in Orange County. I'm from California. I moved to Florida. Orange County loves cases like mine. They like to throw the book at it. So after my third DUI, I remember it was roughly 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't go out and party. That wasn't my scene. I was medicating, in my mind, for my survival. I went to get some food. I made an illegal U-turn. And I don't know if anyone's ever been pulled over. When the sirens come on, man, your heart drops to your stomach. And I knew that was my time. I was arrested right then and there. No more than I got released. You go to 24-hour hold release. No more than a couple weeks after that. I was before this judge, Miss Ortega, or Your Honor. And it was a very surreal moment because, I sobered up real quick. I'm really good under pressure. So when a trauma comes, I'll buckle down, I'll bunker down, double down, and focus for 30 seconds, enough to get me out of a situation. This time I couldn't do that. And Miss Ortega looked at me, looked at my sheet, looked back up at me, and said, "Mr. Phillips, I'm going to tell you who I think you are based solely on the paper that I'm reading in front of me." And she said it in not so many words, and I didn't know judges could use colorful language, but I was a danger to everyone and myself. And she personally did not care about where I was coming from. She was more concerned with everyone else out on the road and in my life that could have been affected by what I could have done and caused trauma in their life. And after that, you get dressed up in orange. So about a week later, I pre-booking to take off a day. After pre-booking, you go back home. You have 3 days to recheck back into jail. Those were a somber 3 days for me. When you actually go in, I spent 103 days in jail, not counting the house arrest sentence that I served. The main charge was a DUI with some miscellaneous items attached to it. When you walk in, you check in with the guards. You go into a foyer of a seating section. After that seating section, you pass through a concrete door, and then past that point, everything is concrete because in California, they're bankrupt and it's cheaper to build. So you walk through, just being honest. So you walk through, you pass through the first door. You go to the second door 10 at a time. And the minute you step through the second door, the world's different. Different rules, different systems, different classes. When you look down, there's 3 colors. If I remember correctly, it's yellow, red, and blue, or yellow, red, and white. When you're talked to like you're scum in that place. Phillips, red line. Walk down the red line. You don't look up. You keep your arms behind your back like this the entire time. Unless you want a guard to come real close to you, which you never really want to do, ever. Because I pre-booked, I got a nice orange suit that was pressed. I walked into East Wing, which was my wing, which is a 150-man tank. It's a half-moon circle with the guards in the middle. The minute I walked in, I found out very quickly, in a realm, in an environment, in a culture where there is no set commodity or currency, everything becomes currency. So when I stepped in, and I was scared, definitely. Orange, bunk, trying to make sense of the situation as fast as I possibly could. If you've been to jail, you'll understand this reference. 2 Southsiders came up to me and said, "We want your clothes." That's when the switch happened, and I realized, I'm in a different place. Luckily, the shot caller and the house mouse for my race came up and diffused the situation. Later, both of those people were jumped by their disputing party, and 103 days. For me, I was only approached by a guard once. He busted my head open because during chow, you get 3 minutes. Breakfast is 1 minute and 30 seconds. California thinks it's enough time for you to get food down your throat and go back to your bunk. It was beans. I went like this and wiped my hand. He thought I pocketed something and busted my head. Walking out after you put the tray down, grabbed the back of my neck and threw it against the wall. It was an awesome experience. After that, I became a ghost. 103 days, I didn't talk with anyone. I didn't associate with anyone. I didn't do what the recommended daily chores were to do. I kept my head down, and that was when not only the words of the judge, but also when you have no blanket and you're forced to look in the mirror at what your life has become, but not only the things that you've done, the things that have been done to you, a lot can take place. After I was released from the farm, I went into another 180 days of intense rehab. There I met 2 beautiful women. They were my therapists for 2 years. During that process, after the sobering experience of going to jail, and immediately after, I was able to work through a lot of the trauma that I did to myself, and also the trauma that was done to me. That's when I realized the pattern, the endless cycle that I started back when I was 8 years old. Working through those issues and working with those women, I was able to take a good hard look in the mirror, face my demons. I said it last time practicing for this speech, I was able to bunker down in a different way, look straight at myself in the mirror, eye to eye, and really reflect upon the pain that was caused and the healing that needed to take place and the chains that had to be broken for me to have a future. Fast forward through that, I was able to move with my dad from California to Florida. He had a massive heart attack not too long ago. I was sober, clean-minded, and well enough to take care of him. It was one of the greatest blessings of my life. Be there for the man. I was raised solely by my father. And I was able to give back to him the same way that he sacrificed for me. We moved to California, and if you take a guess in the dark, I don't drive yet. I bike. Hopefully soon I'll get it. For the first month, I prayed to God of my understanding, for a job that was close, that I could bike to, that I can get to. And then I got a phone call from the lovely HR rep, Jocelyn. And I talked with Ellie Nash, and we did a phone interview, and I came in. And it was just a beautiful experience of prayers, hard time, pressing through, and opening up this door. What that meant to me, I believe in a servant leader. I think the first person that displayed this concept was born in Bethlehem many years ago. But moving forward, it's a leader that takes the roadblocks, the barriers away from the people around them so they can succeed, and based on their success, we as a company can keep moving forward. So though I'm young here, I don't know a lot. I'm learning the ropes, the barriers that I'm able to remove, whether it be business or just whatever is going on, to remove the barriers so the potential of the person could be far outshining based on those barriers being removed, will only help the company grow. And the beautiful thing, the first person that I met when I came in was V, the receptionist. And I said, "Hey, how do you like it here?" I wanted to gauge what was going on in the company. And she had a huge smile and said, "It's like a family." You can hear customer service joking around. You can hear finance talking about sports. And that's when I found out Charles likes my team as well, the Cowboys. That is ouch. And I met with both Michael, the CFO, and Charles, and I got the job of my dreams, the job that I prayed for, and God answered. So like myself, like many of you, when we were kids, we had blankets, we had toys. And I just petitioned to you, what comfort blankets are you still holding today that are now holding you back? They don't benefit you anymore. It could be the people you hang around, the conversations that you have. It could be the shows you watch, the music you listen to. Or it could be something from my past, dealing with drugs and alcohol, dealing with rape, and having traumatic situations pressed against you. And I encourage you to step forward like MicDrop is all about, and find and have your power and find your voice. And it'd be interesting if I went back to Judge Your Honor Ortega today and talk with her, given I'd had the conversation with the true judge, the God of my understanding. And though in my past, I wasn't perfect, I didn't measure up in my own mind, I do realize that today, from 8 years old till now, I've had everything to succeed in this life in me at all times. It was all about looking in the mirror and finding those qualities in myself and bringing them to the surface. Because my comfort blanket stopped a lot of those things from coming out. And I encourage everyone here, maybe it's time to get rid of your comfort blanket.